quote was, the handy thing about being a father is that the historical standard is so pitifully low, which I think is also true, and that's something that we talked about kind of in the right at the start. The standard of being a father, the credit you get for even, if you take your kids out and you're walking around the store, and they say, oh, God bless you, you're taking your kids out. Like, that's the standard. Dad gets an attaboy for even bothering to take his kids to the store.
Yeah. Oh, you're babysitting today.
Yeah. And I say that, I jokingly say that. I say I'll go babysit my kids because I leave work to do it or whatever. But I mean, really, that's the standard of which we men have been accustomed. We get away. The women who spend the vast majority of the time statistically with the kids. They're lucky to get the guy that takes the kids out anywhere, can handle all three of them at once without them coming home looking ridiculous.
Yeah. So my question is, who raises that standard? I mean, do we as men perpetuate that low standard by wanting to keep it low and saying attaboys at low things?
Yeah, very much so. I think I was thinking about that, and I think I've personally have been guilty of that at times where, I'll think, well, man, I just spent the day with these kids. Like, I deserve a break. Like, there's something should be set aside for me in the calendar because I just spent a whole day with the kids, negating the fact that my wife is home with the children 98% of the time, and doing the vast majority of the living and dying going on in that household is not being done by me. And there's a reason I work, obviously, but I mean, it's no pat on my back to have taken my kids out. It's no pat on my back to have spent quality time with them. That is my responsibility as a father.
Unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is right now. It really is. I mean, with so many men who I see absent, unfortunately, I preached a sermon series called Modern Day Miracles. A lot of us want to see miracles for the presence of God, but one of my miracles was, dads, be present. That's a miracle nowadays. And unfortunately, you do get a pat on the back right now, but yeah. We'll raise the standard for you.
Well, and that's the thing, and I don't know. We'll start getting to this stuff here in the next couple minutes on things that I think we can do to help. But I think at this point I'm willing to say the full responsibility for the failure, I think to a certain extent, of the man to be a man in a biblical sense, to act in strength, to be a father, to be the husband they're supposed to be, lies completely on the man because God has provided the rule book. He's provided examples of what a man should be. He sent his son to die on the cross as an example of servitude and ways to carry yourself in a world when you're faced with conflict, when you're faced with people that aren't doing what they should be. It's all right here. This is not the failing of how you were raised. This is not the failing of what situation you put yourself in and refuse to get out of. You have a guidebook, and frankly, right now is the time to knock it off. Like, quit looking for other places to blame. I think I'm confident in saying that there's a Bible and there's a God out there that has gives you some direction on how to be the man that God wants you to be, and now's the time to sack up and do it.
Yeah.
This knife is not going to do me any good, is it?
That knife?
No, actually, the knife will. We're going to talk because there's a
place.
There's reasonable conflict. And here's what I think the man runs into the biggest problem is they swing. They swing from the ultra masculine, like Dr. Creatine over here, that's got to sweat muscles, right? And the complete wimp, and the flimsy man.
Well, that would stink if you sweat muscles. I don't want to work too hard, and my muscles leave you.
But like you don't find a man. I think the biggest example of a man that we're missing is the person that is balancing the two, that recognizes the time and the place for those swings of behavior. When is it time for me to flex it out and go after it and be in the middle of something, and when is the time for me to let stuff go?
I think what really would settle this honestly is a proper understanding of Jesus, because I think he's probably the most balanced and I would say best understood example of what a man is. The only unfortunate thing is for many men, Jesus wasn't married, but you can take a lot of his life principles and apply them to marriage.
Sure.
And how he treated women, but I feel like maybe the understanding of what a man is probably an improper understanding of Jesus, because you get this limp-wristed guy who is a fairy and he's got a light blue little costume and long hair, and he grows his own granola, and he's just kind of a hippie dude, loves everybody, and just touchy-feely, fuzzy Jesus. And they don't really understand the revelation, resurrected Jesus, the victorious Jesus, a tattoo on his thigh, Lord of Lords, King of Things, can come back and judge people. Yeah. And so, I think you said a balanced understanding. And so I think it's a balanced understanding of Jesus maybe would lead us to a balanced target of what it would mean to be a man, a godly man.
Well, so what are some of those examples?
In a lot of cases, you see today's men not want to enter into their emotions, and they feel like, being externally weak is a sign of being feminine. Mm-hmm. And actually, it's a sign of being secure with who you are and embracing the emotions God, put inside you. And it said when Jesus looked at loss, he wept. And he wept after his friend Lazarus dying, and he entered into the pain of life. And the modern man is not, secure with that. And so you saw him show compassion and sympathy and empathy and all those emotions. But you also saw him be real sarcastic and cutting toward the Pharisees. You also saw him, get really angry, a righteous anger, when he was in the temple, throwing over the tables. And you just saw all the characteristics of a well-balanced person in Jesus. And like you said, he knew exactly when to react or when to act appropriately. And you saw just such a great man. Every time you saw him act, you was like, man, that's right on.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's true. Like when he's met at that
David
tree.
and Goliath.
And
he wasn't fighting. He wasn't like this is a cool challenge. I'll take down the giant. It was, he understood it was the Lord's battle. As you read through that text, he made it very clear. God's going to bring you down. I'm not here testing my manhood on you, Goliath, Mister. I'm here fighting for God.
Well, in the literal interpretation with Goliath, I mean, he would go out each and every day, start each day, screaming obscenities towards these people of God, and they were being mocked. I mean, it was like Ray Lewis just calling out the New York Jets. I mean, he was just mocking them, just calling them out every single day, and they would just shrink. And what really upset David was, well, two things. One, he was seeing his brothers be wusses, and shrink to the battle each day.
His older brothers,
who were supposed to be warriors, and he was the shepherd boy, and he brought them their sack lunch and said, "Why don't you eat your lunch, and I'm going to go take care of this guy." And he did what everybody else was supposed to do, which is probably exactly why David's a great example right now, because we have a lot of men who are shirking at the calling, and we need some Davids.
Yeah.
Step it up.
Well, I want to start a gang of Davids now.
Let's
you want
do
to be
it.
in my David gang?
I like it.
We'll go to rustle up some troubles.
Do you have room for a ball?
Bring a sack lunch.
No. If your name isn't David, you can't
Catch
be
your
in.
lunch.
Shoot. We'll order our sack lunches from a corporate sack lunch business. It's way cleaner that way.
That's right.